Now I know that the point of my channel is usually talking about movies or TV shows or occasionally reviewing video games, but I do really think that my channel could really also benefit from talking about some of that tech that I'm using to make it so that my home theater viewing experience is the absolute best that it can be. And in my mind, one of the best ways to elevate your home theater system is with the Philips Hue Syncbox. So what exactly is the Philips Hue Syncbox? Well, it's this nifty little black device that acts as a splitter for your different devices, which also comes in handy, by the way, if you have a TV that doesn't have very many inputs. A lot of them don't have as many inputs, and if you're a gamer or someone who has physical media and you use a Blu-ray player, you're probably quickly running out of inputs. Sometimes you may even have to do plug playing and switching around things. It's just not fun at all. So this thing handles that problem for you while also telling the Syncbox, or should I say the Syncbox tells the lights that it should change colors based on the stuff that is on the screen. When I first started setting up my Hue lights, I knew I eventually wanted the ability to change the colors of these lights based on what's going on. It just seemed like the next step. It seemed like it would be the most fun way to put these lights to use and truly transform my whole living room. But back when Philips Hue lights first started debuting, there was not such a technology out there. Now, people were already getting interested in that, so there was this app that I tried at one point. You set your phone on like a stand and you aim it towards your TV. It was watching your TV, looking at the colors and telling the Hue lights what colors to be. But that version, as much as it was helpful at the time, it really was not very fun, because who wants to, jam up your phone so that you can use this ridiculous app? And it just never really worked as good as something that was getting a direct feed from a box like this. And I knew from looking at the app and reading forums that Philips was working on something that was going to fix this problem. And so as soon as this box launched and I could afford its extremely steep price tag, I picked one up. It wasn't too long after the Syncbox came out that the Philips Gradient Light Strip came out, but it came out during the peak of COVID, and there was a lot of supply issues at that time. I'm sure most people remember that, so I decided not to wait for that. I was just too impatient. I wanted my lights syncing to my content, and I wanted it now. So I decided to buy 2 Philips Hue regular light strips. I actually have 3 of them. I have 2 behind the TV, and then I have one that's kind of lining underneath the cabinet so you can see it. It actually gives you more light in a way than the actual gradient light strip gives you, because sure, the gradient light strip does do sections of color, but it stops around the bottom half of the TV, so your bottom of your TV has no color. This situation that I have set up actually fixes that, and it would be really cool if that Philips Gradient Light Strip did eventually rope all the way around the thing. But anyway, that's how I first started out. When I first got this thing turned on, I gotta be honest, I was hooked. I loved the way it looked, especially with video games. Video games are just ripe with colors, and it just really made it all pop so much. It felt like you were kind of in the video game. It's like 4D, I guess, 4D, kind of something like that. It's bringing that immersion. It's bringing that picture is leaving the TV and coming into the room with you. If you're watching a show and somebody is walking in a red hallway, your room is red. It feels like you're in the room with them. It's just truly remarkable, and I very much love it. But this initial 4K Syncbox was not without its issues. For one, I'm gonna say it again, this thing is quite expensive, but 2, me and many others out there, I can tell you that for sure because of reading on forums, trying to debug said problem, well, we started experiencing a random black screen that would come in. It would last 2 or 3 seconds. It wasn't really a huge deal. It didn't happen very often. It was pretty infrequent, but when it did happen, it was pretty annoying. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure I died a few times while playing video games because something like that happened, that black screen. Or I had people coming over to watch a movie and the screen went black, and I had to explain to people, oh yeah, it's this thing that I'm using. It's supposed to make the colors cool. I understand that it doesn't look so great, but trust me, this thing is awesome. But now here we are with this new 8K Syncbox, and from what I've heard and from what I've experienced, that random black screen appears to be resolved. But perhaps the biggest improvement with this 8K box is the ability to handle 120 Hz. The previous box, the 4K box, was capped at only 60 Hz. Now this is something that a lot of people probably are never going to have a problem with. This is really only a concern for people who are playing video games, because some of these newer video game systems, and not even to say all games, but some of the games on these newer systems support 120 hertz. And if you are just using this box, it's going to make it so that you don't get that. And that's kind of a bummer. I really didn't want this box to be the problem in my setup. I didn't want to have this causing issues and holding back my technology from being the best that it could be. So I've been using this thing for a couple weeks, and I can tell you it's working really well. I have not had any issues. I know that some people said that setup was tricky, they couldn't get it working. I will tell you that that Philips Hue Sync app that they used to have you using with that original 4K box, that's gone. You no longer use that. You go into the regular Philips Hue app like you would if you were adding a new switch or a new light, and you just set it up right through there, just like those devices, and then you tell it what things are plugged into what. You set it all up. You can set the mode and intensity. You can say, I want the lights blinking really fast. That's really good for video games. For movies or TV shows, you might want it to be a little bit lower intensity. You can adjust the brightness so you aren't turning your room into like a bright ass room in the middle of the night. Trust me, that can be a little bit jarring, because there are movies where it's daylight and all of a sudden my room was like just blinded. You can turn down that brightness to fix that problem. And as I said, this thing kind of acts as a switcher for your devices. So whatever you have plugged in, it's going to take that signal that it's getting, send it to your TV, and that's great, because as I said earlier, we have a lot of TVs that don't have enough inputs. If you're a gamer or you just need all those outlets, that's a big problem. And the nice thing about this switcher is that it automatically switches when you turn on a new device. That can sometimes be a problem, but just don't turn something on that you don't want turned on to be switched to, because if you are, say, you want to watch your Apple TV and somebody actually just goes and plugs the Nintendo Switch into its dock per se, that will cause the TV to receive a signal which will send it to the Syncbox. The Syncbox will say, oh, I guess you want to play the Nintendo Switch, and it will switch. So you would have to go back in the app and switch it back manually. But that's why I just try to make sure that I am not messing with stuff. When I turn on my TV, I turn it on. If I want to play my video games, I turn it on. Everything goes on one by one, and it normally is not a problem at all for me. But if you do have a problem like that, you can go into the Philips app and switch the inputs right back. Apparently you can also use voice to do that, but I have not had too much luck doing that, because I, for the life of me, cannot remember the commands for each of these smart speakers. I don't want to sugarcoat things though. The price of this unit, it's frankly insulting. The previous unit was $300. This new 8K unit is $350, and that is just a really steep price tag for what is essentially an input switcher. Sure, it's doing all that smart stuff with the lights, but it's a steep price tag, and this is basically feeling like a premium product, so not everybody can afford it. And if you are not playing video games and you don't have a need for 120 hertz and you don't have an 8K TV, by the way, there's not really much 8K content out there, so if you have an 8K TV, you're probably not getting much use out of it anyways. But if you don't have an 8K TV or you're not a gamer, this device, it's really not worth upgrading to. If you happen to have that previous 4K version and you're not playing games, I would just stick with that. But if you are a gamer and you don't want your Syncbox to be the limitation in your setup, then this is a worthy upgrade. I would look for a sale though, because I just got this item on sale for $250. That's still pretty pricey, but I'm hoping to sell my existing one for a little bit more so that I can basically offset the cost and make it so that it was a cheaper upgrade. Since this is a tech review, I don't want to give this a review out of 10, but I'm gonna say so far this is a 5, and that could change. It could suddenly start developing glitches. I could suddenly start having really bad experience with this device, but so far I am quite happy with it. It seems like it's working really well. I know on the previous version, when I first turned on my TV, there would be a black blink that would happen, and this does that a little bit. I've noticed on like the YouTube app when I'm going in between, but it's so minor. And what's nice is the content is actually not playing. Before, it would start playing the content while this black little screen was going on. And then I would start my content and I'd realize, oh, it's already been on for 2 or 3 seconds. But this new box, I don't really know how it does it, but when it does have this little teeny black screen in between switching certain content, it's very brief and the content actually does not start playing, so it's not a problem at all. And this is such a small thing. It's a really small thing, and I wouldn't let that discourage you. That being said, this is a pricey upgrade. It's not worth it for everybody, so I completely understand if people just don't want to fork out the money. But if you do want the best experience, I really think that the lights add a new layer. It really just transforms your experience. It makes it feel like you are in the scene with the people. It makes it feel like you're out in space. It makes you feel like you're on Mustafar with Darth Vader. It just really is a really cool product, and I really enjoy it. So that's my thoughts on this product. If you have this product, please put your thoughts on it in the comments. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put those in the comments as well. I will try to answer them as quickly as I possibly can. Other people are also encouraged to chime in. If you're at all interested in movie reviews, TV show reviews, video game reviews, sometimes gameplay, and you're looking for a place that's got that all, plus apparently occasionally a tech review, then subscribe to this channel. Later.